On August 15, 1977, the night was quiet. Dark clouds floated slowly over the Ohio cornfields, and only one person worked in the small observatory building. Astronomer named Jerry R. Emmons sat at the table and looked through the long strips of paper that slowly crawled out of the computer printer of the radio telescope. It was a normal night at the Ohio State University Radio Observatory. The radio telescope, known as the Big Ear, listened to space. "I've been listening for many years." He caught everything: the noise of galaxies, pulsars, radio waves from stars, sometimes even signals from Earth that were accidentally reflected from the atmosphere. But the result was almost always the same: static noise, emptiness. When the printer spat out the new sheet, Jerry took it almost mechanically. The strings of numbers and letters meant the strength of signals from different parts of the sky. They were usually small: 2, 3, sometimes 5. But suddenly his eyes stopped. In the middle of the line was a strange sequence: 6EQUJ5. Jerry leaned closer. His heart raced slowly. This meant an extremely powerful signal, much stronger than any natural noise of space. He took the red pen, circled the code, and wrote only one word next to it: "Wow." This is how the name of the signal appeared. Wow. Signal. But no one knew that then, because the worst started later. Much later. In tens of years. 2026 year. The observatory has long been modernized. New antennas. New computers. New programs for artificial signal analysis. A graduate student named Marta worked the night shift. She loved the night, because at night the cosmos seemed closer. Sometimes she joked, "If the aliens want to call, they'll do it at night." That night she checked the old archives, all the signals the observatory has ever received. And, of course, he was the most famous among them. Wow. She opened the file. A familiar line appeared on the screen: 6EQUJ5. 72 seconds of signal. And silence. He never repeated himself again. For almost 50 years. Martha already wanted to close the file. But suddenly her attention was drawn to a small detail. There was another layer of data in the digital copy of the signal, which has not been analyzed before. The old computers couldn't. New ones could. She pressed Analyze. The computer began processing. A few minutes passed, and a message appeared on the screen: "Pattern detected." Martha frowned. What else is the pattern? She discovered the result. The signal consisted of 72 seconds, but the computer broke it into small impulses. And these impulses, repeated, as if code. Martha thought it was a mistake, but the algorithm stubbornly showed the same thing. The signal was not accidental. It was structured, intentional. She called her boss, Professor Howard. He arrived in an hour. Howard stared at the screen for a long time. Then he said softly, "If it's true, this may be the first artificial signal from space." They sat in silence, because I understood what it meant. Someone. Maybe. I talked to the Earth. But the real shock came later, when the computer translated the pattern into binary code, 0 and 1. Then in ASCII symbols. Text appeared on the screen. Short. Just a few characters. Martha read it. And pale. Because it was written there. "Don't answer. Don't answer." They were looking at the screen. "Is this a joke?" whispered Martha. Howard shook his head. "This is an archive signal. It was received in 1977. No one could put a message there now." Martha laughed nervously. "So, someone in space is warning us not to answer?" "It looks like it. But to whom?" Howard was silent. They both thought about the same thing. Who exactly cannot be answered? They decided to check one more thing. Signal direction. He came from the constellation Sagittarius, from the area near the star Tau Sagittarii. It was far away, very far. But then Martha noticed another detail. In the new data, the signal looked a little different. The computer showed weak echo. It was as if the signal had returned. "It's impossible," Howard said. "Why?" "Because for the signal to return, someone had to answer." That night they checked all the archives. No confirmation of the answer. No record. Nothing. And then Martha said softly, What if the answer came, but not on the radio? Howard looked at her. And how? Martha didn't answer. Because I didn't know myself. The next night something strange happened. The big ear antenna suddenly began to catch short pulses. Very weak. Almost like noise. But the computer recognized them. He wrote, "Match with archive signal." The signal came back. After 49 years. He was different. Longer. And repeated. Martha looked at the signal graph. And suddenly I realized. The pulses formed the coordinates. Howard checked them. Then he looked at Martha as if he saw a ghost. It's the Earth. What? Coordinates. Lead here. To the observatory. The room became cold. The computer was humming quietly. And suddenly a new line appeared on the screen. The system automatically transferred the signal. Slowly. Symbol by symbol. The first word was W-E. Then. Heard. Then. You. Martha whispered. But we didn't answer. Howard slowly turned to her. Are you sure? They checked all the program logs. No answer. But then Martha remembered. 3 days ago. She tested the new system. And accidentally turned on a short signal transmission. In the same frequency range. She went white. I could answer. The computer wrote further. New text. Thank you. The antenna outside the window turned by itself. No team. Towards the dark sky. The computer wrote another phrase. Slowly. It's creepy. We found you. At that moment, the light in the building went out. The screens remained the only source of light. A new line has appeared on the monitor. The last one. The warning was not for you. Martha whispered. Then, for whom? And then the computer showed the final message. It was for US. The big ear antenna turned sharply to the other side. Not to space. And down. To the Earth. To the coordinates. Right under the observatory. And that's when the first sound was heard from the floor. Weak. Metal. As if something answered.